Most guitar players start to feel really confident improvising in a minor, especially a minor pentatonic. But when we switch to major, it starts to sound really boring and really vanilla. There are a few reasons why that I would like to go over in this video to make your major key guitar solos sing, and you can take this on into the rest of your modes. If you do not know, my name is Ryan Gunn. I've been helping guitar players for over 20 years bridge the gap between their creative ideas and what they're able to play, becoming fully fretboard fluent. If you would, please hit the subscribe and the bell notification to get more videos on how to make your guitar playing better. Let's jump into what we're able to do sort of emotionally when we're playing a minor pentatonic, especially if it's over a blues or just sort of like a rock sort of thing. If I'm hearing A minor, I could drive that tension up, right, with my flat threes and my flat sevens. Talk about that all the time. And I can bring that tension down with my resolve, with my root note. And then, of course, there's other notes, the 4 and the 5 and what have you, that sit a little bit more in the middle ground that we can use to develop a little bit more of a storytelling aspect, because we don't want to just be doing call, response, tension, release. It's going to get a little bit boring. But we have a pretty big spectrum, especially if it is over a blues, because I have this major third, but a flat 3 in my scale that's going to drive that tension up just a little bit more. And let's talk about the color scheme of that minor. If we think of this, whatever song it is that we're playing, the song is generally going to be a little bit more driving and a little bit more tense, whether it's got that kind of feel to it, right? Whether it's a blues or a slow blues, it's going to have that like, oh, I've got the blues kind of a feel. It's just going to be more tense. I like to think of it in the way of like movies. You know, a horror movie is just going to be more tense, and then when it releases, it's going to have that much more of an emotional spectrum, where a happier movie or like a rom-com is not going to have that, right? The jump from the most tense part to the most resolved part is going to be a little bit lighter. So we have to figure out how to utilize this. That's the same with the songs. Just the chords alone, if I'm playing major, I mean, it's just not going to be that tense. We have to figure out what to do with what we're given. So if I'm driving that tension up and then releasing within my minor, my phrases do not have to be different, right? I just need to think of what notes are going to give me tension and then release. So what I mean, if I have something like this, play it again. My first lick, that tension, I'm ending on the flat 3. Okay, so I'm playing here on my B string, 5, 8, then I'm going to go to 5 on the E, back to 8 on the B, and then 2 8s on the E. And then just for my resolve, okay? So, and that has a nice motif and rhythm structure, right? Those very good A, B, call and response lick. Great. Just because I'm switching to something like this doesn't mean suddenly I have to drop my rhythm and my rhythmic phrasing and my motif and go to where we usually go. Right? We sort of go back to rambling. We're done with that. We got away from that like weeks and weeks ago, wherever you are in your journey, when we were doing that with the minor pentatonic, right? Where we would sort of have like very very boring, going nowhere minor pentatonic solos. We started to develop some rhythmic phrasing, right? Hopefully by now, and we have some call and response and some rhythmic motif, right? Some licks that go together. So, right, similar enough to play off of each other and have that call and response. So if I have, I could put the same idea okay, now we can hear just that lick alone. Now I'm just doing everything that I was doing with 5/8. I'm just doing with 5/7. So now it's, if I'm going to do tonally, 5, 6, root note 6, 2, 2. And I'm just doing it. So 5, 7 on my B string, 5 on my E, back to 7 on my B, and then 2 7s on my E. I was just sliding into them just to do it. Pretty easy lick, right? So if I have this now, I'm just going to play my 1 chord. I'm still driving tension with that first one. That 2 gives me some tension, right? It's close to our root note. It's not the root note, and it's not a chord tone, right? It's not if I do that sounds nice. That sinks into the chord really well. It's not going to stand out as much as my 2, a non-chord tone. It wants to bring me down. It's bringing tension. It's just not giving me that strong tension the way that the minor does. So my motif building structure stays the same. You know, I'm not changing it around from what I've been able to do with the minor pentatonic. And if I'm developing these better rhythms, you know, and if you need any help with that, I have plenty of videos on that. I'll put a link in the description for building better rhythmic phrases and doing some more call and response. But this is why, and you know, we see it all the time in our program, you know, in sort of what guitar players are struggling with, is when we have that sort of like, and we're getting away from with the pentatonic going nowhere. We're like, oh, let's develop some phrases. Let's kick that tension up. However it is that I'm doing it, and adding those phrases, we can tell where the first phrase is, where the second phrase is, where the third phrase is, and we're driving some tension, and then release. We're using the same exact rhythmic structure. I'm sorry that I should say with my major. You can tell where those phrases are. I'm not just reverting back to just because all of a sudden I can't find my tension as easily as I could before. So that's what we want to think of. You're keeping your rhythmic phrases the same, and which ones draw tension by simply not hitting a chord tone or a triad, really, right? My 1, just overall, you know, and this changes with the progression, right? This, my 6 of this scale, my 6 is going to sound, you know, like it wants to go somewhere, whether it's down to the 5 or it pulls a little magnetically back to the tonic, to the tonic note, is going to sit differently for a 4 chord. It's certainly going to sit differently for a 5 chord. right? So it's going to change with the progression, but if we're talking about the tonality of our mode, right, the tonality of our mode, then if we're staying away from my tonic, if I want to build tension, away from my 1, my 3, and my 5, since those are in my 1 chord, that's my triad, all I have to do is play a lick that lands on any of the other notes, and that's going to drive my tension. Now, unfortunately, we're not up here and down here. We're in the middle ground. So, just like we need to do with the minor pentatonic, is we have to get used to hearing that out. So, putting a backing track on or throwing, a looper pedal on, I recommend just doing one chord. That's why a looper pedal is really good. If you just sort of stick for right now to A major and play a lick and let that 2 sit, right? Can you feel that, okay, it's not a minor third, it's not a flat 3 that's like punching up, but it's still giving me tension. Play another lick. Land on the 3. Feel how that sits sort of comfortably in that chord, right? How does that 4 sound? That 4 is going to push a lot, right? The 2 and the 4 are going to push a lot. My 7 is always going to want to push me back to that root note, The 2 is always going to want to bring me back to that root note, and it can go up to the 3. Can you feel that pull? If I land on a 6, can you feel it wants to either dip down to a 5 or still has pull to my root note? Not as much as the 7. Right, that 7's going to pull even more. But we want to be able to feel that, right? We love the emotional response that our favorite guitar players are giving us. So what's the best way to do it? Attach yourselves to it. And the only way to do it is play a lick that ends on a note, right, of the scale over just this 1 chord for now. We'll deal with chord changes when we get there. You know what I mean? For right now, if you're just playing, what does that feel like? Just, if it feels like nothing, do it again. You'll pick it up. Play something that lands on a 2. What does that feel like? Keep doing it with each note of the scale. And the best way to do it is not just come in with 1 note, play a lick that just goes into it. Land on it. What does it feel like? Okay, this is really, really important. If you feel like, and I've talked to people like this plenty of times, where this is what happens where when we're talking about building tension and release with the minor pentatonic, a lot of times in the beginning, we're not able to hear that. The one thing that we are able to hear is having that. You'll hear a lot of guitar players in the beginning do. Everything lands on the root note. That's the only tone that we can really hear. We could tell that we don't know why yet, depending on where you are in your journey in the early stages. But it sounds sweet. It sounds settled. We can hear that. It takes a little bit of time to be able to hear that flat 3. Oh, that does have a little bit of tension, huh? Okay, maybe I'll try it again. Can you tell that that's where it wants to go? No? Keep doing it. The skill of feeling that has to be developed. Now everybody has it. That's why we react to music. If you don't have it, you would have not picked up the guitar in the first place, because you wouldn't have reacted to music. You know what I mean? So we all have the ability to do it. We just need to uncover it a little bit. So that's where we start with that minor and that minor pentatonic. And then the next phase is, can I hear it in major? And if you can't at first, that's fine. Like, that's always where that 4 wants to bring me, especially if I'm just over that one chord, right? It's pulling. It needs to go somewhere emotionally. You know? And if you're unable to hear it, play it and keep trying to hear and feel where that wants to go. This is very untalked about in sort of the guitar teaching world. But don't forget that our favorite guitar players are communicating music as a language through the guitar. That's what we love about them. You have the ability to hear that. That's what we love about music and our favorite guitar players. That is most likely the reason that you grabbed the guitar in the first place, is because you liked the way that something made you feel. You have the ability. Very few people do. I took a music cognition course about this. Right? Very few people are genuinely tone deaf, where they cannot decipher the difference between tones. Okay, that's what actual tone deafness is. And that's why emotional, like if you were to play, you know, right? Very minor, very sad sounding, or they wouldn't be able to tell emotionally the difference between those two. You know, you have the ability to do it. And if you need to, just focus in on that ability. I know that this sounds difficult, because I can give you like, oh, just do this. Play these licks, play this lick, do this, play it up here. That's where a lot of guitar teachers teach, because it's easier to teach, because it's very tactical, it's very pattern-based. There is a right answer, okay? This needs to be worked on. And some people, just because of the way that they've been listening to music their whole lives, can decipher this easier than others. It does not mean that their capacity to do so is larger than yours. It just means that you need to train yourself to get up there, right? This is with any artistic field. Whether it's filmmaking, you know, whether it's writing, having that emotional connection to your characters in a short story, that's what makes really good writers, and they can develop that, and they develop that feeling of those characters, right? Versus a writer that can just do it on paper and there's a right answer. That's the difference between writers, painters, photographers, movie makers, whatever the art form is. That is the difference. You can do it. I'm so certain that you can. And then when you develop that skill in your minor pentatonic, you can do it in major, you can do it in Mixolydian, you can do it in Dorian, right? You can do it in harmonic minor. These are all fantastic ways to develop the connection between what you're playing, what you're thinking, and what you're playing, and how it's delivered out to sort of the listening world. So, thank you for staying to the end. I'm going to put a rhythmic phrasing video below. That's going to help you if, in case you're still stuck in that, you don't really know how to get like your rhythmic phrases moving. So I'm going to have that in the description, as well as a free training that you can check out. And it just goes through some of the ways to do this with a minor pentatonic. If you haven't developed that skill quite yet, you can check that 3 steps to full fretboard fluency. And we sort of take that through some of these ideas through the positions of the pentatonic. If you feel like you're ready, there is a way to book a free consultation call below to see if you're right for our Fretboard Fluency Mentorship Program. We can sort of see where your playing is, develop a step-by-step plan from there, and get you moving in the most efficient way to make these connections and get you playing the way you really imagine your guitar playing to be, right? Unlock your full potential. So thank you so much for staying to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.